Hello, everybody. I wanted to make a very short video for you just to make sure that you're completely aware of what we're doing for our online class this week. So I'm going to share my screen and I will share my whole desktop. Okay, so in Slack, these 3 documents have now been uploaded. The first one is called the online class checklist. The second one is called the assignment to be submitted. That one you will be submitting as a group, and this is your study guide. Now, normally with study guides, we don't submit them, but this week we are submitting it. So let's walk through each of those. So the first thing I need you to do, and actually I'm going to make it a box here, read the entire chapter about Piaget. That is checklist item number 1. You won't be able to do a good job of in your groups or on your assignment if you have not read the chapter. So step 1, preferably on Monday or before you meet as a group, you need to read that chapter, and you need to be, asking yourself questions along the way to make sure that you're doing a good job of understanding it. Then what I want you to do is to meet as a team, and as a group I want you to fill out the study guide. And I want you, unlike our normal classes where you don't have to submit the study guide, I want you to submit the study guide to me via Blackboard. There will be an announcement on Blackboard that shows you exactly where to submit it. All you have to do is type it into a Word document and upload it, and that's how you'll get your points, at least part of the points, most of the points. 3 out of the 5 points for this online class will come from filling out that study guide individually. Now, I don't mind if 5 of you in a study group submit the exact same study guide because I want you to work on it together, but I need each of you to submit it separately. So let me make the note here. Submit separately on Blackboard. Okay, so you're going to read the chapter, you're going to fill out the study guide. Now you'll notice the study guide is fairly extensive this week. So the first one is to describe Piaget's ideas about how people learn. And you'll know that you're talking about the right thing if you're talking about schemes, operations, assimilation, accommodation, equilibrium. So get a good answer for that in place because it's the foundation really of his phases. And I need you to describe each of the phases in each of these terms. What's the age range? Describe a description of the cognitive change, at least one specific accomplishment that is related to that cognitive change, at least one specific criticism of that phase. And then really what's going to really prepare you to do the assignment that you need to do as a group when you meet is this question. In the concrete operations phase, specifically concrete operations, what do researchers suggest that teachers do in terms of preparing lessons that really work with where the students are at in concrete operations? How do you manage your classroom in a way that helps the students to learn in the best possible way? How do you design assignments that really resonate with students given where they are in terms of being in the concrete operations stage? And then you need to provide at least 3 specific examples for each of these. So 3 specific things researchers say about preparing lessons, 3 specific things that they say about managing your classroom, and 3 specific things they say about designing assignments. I need all of those to be typed up into a study guide and submitted separately on Blackboard for you to get your personal points for the class. Once you have done that, then you will go to the assignment that you do as a group. And this is a lesson plan that I want you to create. I want you to imagine as a team that you're designing a lesson for 2nd grade students learning about plants, specifically plant pollination. So here's everything that you need to know about pollination. You don't have to have any further information beyond this information right here because I'm not really interested in you teaching me about pollination. I'm way more interested in how you're designing the lesson, managing the classroom, and preparing the assignment for around even just one of these. You could only do insect pollination if you wanted to, or you could only do seeds, or you could do all 3, whatever you want. but that's all the information you need. You don't need to be Googling and watching videos to figure out more about that. That's all the information you need. And so what I want you to do is just describe a lesson where you tell me about the activity that you're engaging your students in. State, this is the most important part, state precisely how this lesson is connected to and draws upon Piaget's theory. And then I want you to predict what would be difficult about this lesson and how you would adapt your lesson so that it becomes less confusing. Now, you can include in there your instructions for how you would introduce the idea to the kids. You can talk about moving people around the classroom. You can include diagrams about how people would move around the classroom. I want you to impress me with your innovative classroom management, design, lesson planning skills, specifically so that you're designing a lesson that is in line with and supported by Piaget's best thinking around and our current thinking around the concrete operations phase. Think outside the box. What I will be grading you on is how successfully you take what you learn about Piaget and actually create a lesson that really draws on that knowledge in innovative ways that makes it possible for your students to learn in the best way possible. So now, both this assignment, that is, by the way, submitted via Slack in our Slack channel, right? So you probably have a Slack channel that looks like, of course, this is going to be slow now. I don't think it's worth this because I know what you know what your Slack channel looks like. Okay, here we go. So here's one, right? It has Lisette, Sue, Sophia, and Alyssa all in here. You would drop right here, right? You should add from your computer the lesson plan, right? So you would just navigate to it and all that good stuff would happen. So cancel this for now. I want you to drop in here the lesson, including any artifacts that you have. If you need to make a video, that's all good. Anything that helps me understand your best thinking. This is where your like most innovative, most creative juices should be flowing, is into this lesson plan. But this right here is where you submit your lesson plan, but it is not where you submit your study guide. Your study guide is submitted individually, separately. Let me change this to individually because I feel like that's clearer, on Blackboard. So for you to get credit for class this week and those 5 points, that is 5% of our grade for this class, you need to make sure that you read the whole chapter, fill out the study guide and submit via Blackboard, meet with your study group and create a science lesson and upload that via Slack. Submit your lesson plan as a team via Slack in your study group channel by Friday at midnight. All of this needs to be done by Friday at midnight. I am available tomorrow. If you have any questions, you can Slack me. I'm actually not out of town. Somebody mentioned in a Slack channel that professor's out of town. I'm not. And I mention that because this is, as I have said a couple times in class, an experiment. I want to see if you guys like this as a way to break up our class. Is it fun? Is it interesting? Is it helpful? Does it help you learn? Does it help you bond, etc.? To have a class that isn't me lecturing, but is instead you guys bringing the information that you learned from the chapter to an activity. So one thing I want you to remember, because I'm going to ask you next week when we meet again, is whether or not how you liked it. I want to hear you debrief about it. So take any notes that you need to give me good feedback on this. I'm going to shut this down and upload these to Slack and create the Blackboard assignment for you to submit to. And please do let me know if you have any questions. All right, I will see you guys all in a week, and I hope you enjoy this online lesson.